Joey Graziadei, the star of season 28 of The Bachelor, also happens to be USPTA certified. So of course, this has caused quite the buzz with all of our members, and everyone just wants to get to know our 7-year tennis professional better. So welcome, Joey. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me here. I'm so excited to chat today.
We're so excited to get to know you and everything that you've been doing, but of course, we got to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit. So you've had quite the whirlwind last couple of years. So How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to see what's going to come with this year coming up, with the show finally coming out soon. I think my real goal is just to be able to enjoy this whole experience. Yeah, these last couple of years, I was back in Hawaii, ready to teach tennis, kind of figuring out my life for that, and it's kind of all been on pause since all this stuff's been going on. But excited to chat with you today, excited to talk tennis, and just kind of see where this goes.
Absolutely. And so, of course, the show is going to highlight your journey to find love, but also your love of tennis. So let's go back to the beginning. You know, when did you first learn how to play?
So I started pretty late. I didn't start playing tennis until I was about 13 years old. So my uncle was a head tennis professional. He kind of got me into the sport. It was right around the same time I was burning out from playing soccer. I was looking for something new, and I just fell in love with it right away. A unique experience when I learned, because I learned how to play and also learned how to kind of teach at the same time. So I've been kind of around that environment really my entire life.
Sure. So where did that happen? Where did you learn how to play, and, you know, kind of who were your early coaches?
Yeah, so it was my uncle, like I said, Joe Heaney, and it was at Butterfield Country Club. So that was kind of where it all started. He had different pros that worked with him that were there to kind of help me, and I had, I think, the perfect environment to not only learn about the sport, but to fall in love with it and to just kind of learn what the world of teaching was like. And I wouldn't have traded that start for anything else.
That's so nice to have that family influence.
Yeah,
I'm sure that, and I'm sure you guys continue on to play these days.
He is my mentor through and through. He is the person I can thank for everything that's come with this sport, and honestly, anything that's come after it too. Like, it just, I have a big belief that everything kind of happens for a reason, and the snowball effect of everything came from me starting to play tennis at 13 years old, so I'm grateful for it.
Sure. Why tennis? What about tennis speaks to you so much?
Oh, that's such a good question that I feel like we could talk for an hour about. I think what I really fell in love with on tennis was the individual aspect of it, but it's so much more deep than that. I struggled initially, you know, I'm competitive. I wanted to be so good. I wanted to figure everything out, but it was a challenge, and I love the challenge of tennis. I love how it challenges you internally. It's obviously a physical challenge as well, but it just has taught me so much. I think it forced me to grow up in a lot of ways too. From coaching it, from playing it, the sport has just done so much for me. I think a lot of people that have played can kind of understand that too.
Sure. And so you started at 13, played in high school, and then went on to play D2 at Westchester University.
Yeah.
What was that experience like playing in college?
Yeah, it was a little different. My tennis story kind of was interesting at that time. I was playing my senior year, was first singles on my team when I was in high school, and I'll be the first to admit I was in that burnout stage. I was, for the first time, at the top of the team, was playing all the best kids in the area, and had a rough season. Wasn't winning that much, and kind of almost fell out of the sport. Didn't know if I was going to play in college. Chose Westchester actually because of how much I loved the school and that my sister went there, and was naive and thought I could just show up on the first day of tryouts and walk on as a freshman, and it didn't happen initially. I ended up actually getting close, but not quite making the team. The coach recognized me enough that told me, like, hey, keep my contact. If something comes along, we'd love to try to find a spot. But then I took a break. I didn't play tennis for my first 2 years in college, and I think I found my love again right around the end of my sophomore year and started to play again, actually took it seriously, and was lucky enough to walk on that next year, and got to play for about a year and a half, 2 years, which I appreciated so much during my time in college.
I feel like a lot of athletes kind of do go through that themselves, right? Is, you know, that burnout through different stages of their playing career. You know, what advice would you have for someone who obviously the break really was beneficial for you?
I think it's just to accept that it's natural. I love that happened to me, because it's so easy to now bring that into my coaching, to explain when kids have that feeling, to pay attention to why they're feeling that way, to talk through it, to understand that it's a difficult sport that's going to humble you from time to time. I had so many people that I've taught back in the day too, that like adults that pick it up later in life, and they were a D1 college athlete, and as soon as they were done playing tennis, they took their rackets, tossed them in the garbage, didn't touch them for 20 years. Like, it happens. People get those moments, and I think it's great to be able to understand it and just to be able to talk through it with people. And what I love is almost always people find their love for the sport again, because it gives you so much.
And it's a lifelong sport.
All day.
You can always go back to it.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay, so at what point then did you decide, hey, okay, I'm back into tennis. I maybe want to become a tennis professional.
Yeah, that again too, it was one of those things that I thought that I wasn't going to be doing anything after college. I decided to look for doing social media marketing, was kind of in communications, and thought I was going to work somewhere in the city in Philadelphia. But I was lucky enough that on my breaks when I was in college, was going to Hawaii where my uncle was living because he was my coach and my mentor, and was starting to just get some part-time work at the local clubs over there. And I made a really good connection with one of the GMs at Prince Phil Mackay, and I knew the old head pro. And when I was graduating from college, I got a call and he offered me the position to take over what his job was and to be a 22-year-old head tennis professional of a small facility. And I don't know who says no to that phone call at 22 years old. So I didn't think that was going to happen, but I was always open to it. And my uncle really helped kind of get me prepared and start what that could look like.
My goodness, yeah, what a phenomenal opportunity, like you said. Who would you say influenced your decision the most to become a professional? Would it be your uncle? Or
Hands down, my uncle, yeah. He had such a love for the sport too. It gave him so much through his entire life, and he worked at all these different spots, gained so much from his experience, and I don't know, he's been like a father figure to me in a lot of times in my life, and he shaped this kind of roadmap of what it could be. You know, he gave me those opportunities. He helped me through the difficult times, explained why you would feel this way in certain moments. And yeah, he got me to the point that I was in. I really owe a lot to him. One of the coolest things was we actually did the USPTA certification together. So he was really excited to kind of get more knowledge for his game. He was excited about me. He knew this was something that I should do, and he wished he did when he was my age. So we actually went and got certified together when we did it, and we went through the whole process and had a weekend with it in California. So it was a really cool thing that we had that opportunity through the whole process to do it together.
Of course. So can you tell me a little bit about that? You know, what was your certification process like? Who certified you? And
yeah, I really wish I could remember the name off the top of my head. He was a master pro, and it was in Huntington Beach area, and he was amazing. I actually still take some of the things that he taught us through that, and I put that into my teaching still today. The basic fundamental of how to teach a ground stroke, how he taught that to us, I still use that. So that alone was a win from the experience, but I got a chance to obviously go and do the testing, to do the skills performance test, to go and teach people in the area, have the kind of makeshift lesson to try to see how it was, take the test. But it was in beautiful Huntington Beach, California, and we had a great time doing it.
So when describing the profession to someone else, what does it mean to be a certified tennis professional?
For me, it just really means to be knowledgeable. I learned so much from that certification I had at the USPTA when that went through, all the different things I know that I have in my hands through that, but then just being able to have that credibility to talk to other pros and learn from them. And I really think about the certification as just being knowledgeable.
Sure. And lots of things that come about it, from it too. The networking opportunities and all that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. I had one of my best experiences in Hawaii, going to one of those networking opportunities to go to a conference, to meet some of the other local professionals in the area, and the things you get from those, the clinics you learn, the connections you make, all those different things that you can take, it's really helpful through the whole process.
And so, as you well know, coaches have a huge impact on their players and on their students. And they can really have either a positive or a negative effect on those athletes.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the secret to being a positive influence to your athletes, both on and off court?
I think the big thing I focus on is trying to understand them. No two players or students are going to be the same. It's really big to kind of understand why they're playing the sport, what they're looking for out of it, trying to connect with them. I love that part of coaching and teaching. I think that's what I look forward to most, is making those connections, learning about who they are as a person, and then trying to see how you can help. And there's so many ways to do that, but for me, that's what I try to focus on always.
I love that. Okay, so how about, I know we've talked a lot about your uncle. Did you have any other very influential coaches for you as you're growing up?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, one of my most influential coaches I had as of late was a few years ago when I was in Nashville. I got to work under a pro, Jim Madrigal, who was on tour with Tennis Sandgreen. He worked with Brian Baker back in the day, had just a very amazing track record of working with not only high performance juniors, but he's seen it all. And it was in a transition period of my life where I was really getting back into tennis and was eager to learn more about coaching. And he let me 2 to 3 days a week sit on the court with him, watch how he teaches, feed it in his drills, be a hitting partner for all of his top juniors. it opened me up to the Nashville community and got me so connected and really put a new spark into my love for teaching tennis again. So I credit so much to him. It was such a pivotal time in my teaching career, and I wouldn't have changed that for the world.
That's excellent. I love having mentors all along the way too.
It's huge. It's huge.
What is your favorite coaching memory so far?
Coaching memories so far. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll go back to my time when I was in Nashville as well. I got the opportunity to be the boys head coach for a local school. It was the first time that I was doing something outside of a resort, a country club. I was connected with all these kids, and we had a goal. We were going out there trying to win our division, trying to do as well as we could at district and state. It was the first time I was really, I don't know, it felt like I was a part of a team again, like I was back when I was in college, when I was in high school, and that was big for me. I fell in love with it. To be able to have an effect on these kids, to have this common goal that we were working towards together. You build that with these individual players when you get them ready for tournaments, but to have it be back in that high school atmosphere and arena it was so fun.
And to have that ability to have that impact not only on their game, but then also just for them as people, I'm sure,
Exactly.
and the things that they'll take away.
Exactly. I mean, I connected with all those kids. They were a great group. We got to get to know each other. They were open and honest with where their struggles on and off the court, and I just felt lucky to get to know them.
What has coaching meant to you?
Coaching has given me the opportunity just to connect with people. I think I've said that a lot through this, but I'll say it all day. It has given me such a great opportunity. It's been a vice for me to be able to meet so many different people, to be able to have so many different opportunities to just learn and be a part of so many different communities and cultures. And I just love that part of it. I think that's what I love about coaching tennis, is getting to know people and getting to learn their stories and just trying to find a way into their lives.
So you've mentioned Nashville a couple times.
Yeah.
And so even though you did really enjoy being a tennis professional, you decided to take a break to pursue the corporate world in Nashville. What was that experience like for you?
So difficult. It was a weird time. I was finishing up coaching in Hawaii. I kind of had it predetermined that I was 24, 25 years old at the time. And I was like, I need to try doing something different. I'm in my mid-20s. I had a very interesting experience to move to Hawaii right away when I was very young, living in a different spot, having a different job, being a head tennis pro. Like, it wasn't a normal thing. And I have all my friends living in these cities, going out all the time, living this corporate life job. I'm like, okay, let's see what that's like. But I moved in 2020. So I moved right before COVID hit. The sales job I originally thought I was gonna have fell through as soon as I moved to Nashville. I was kind of working around at a lot of different jobs at that time, just trying to figure something out. I fell on my feet at a great company. I had a great sales job. I did it for about a year, but I found out very early on that, again, it was a way to connect with people, but when I was doing sales, it felt like there was a but. It felt like I was talking to them, but then I wanted to get something out of the relationship. And what I loved with tennis and what I loved with coaching was it always felt like it was a mutual bond. I was getting as much out of it as they were. And I didn't feel like there was anything that was unnatural about it. I felt like I was myself every time I touched the tennis court. And I never felt that way in the corporate sales world. So very quickly, I found that out and just decided to go back to tennis and really haven't looked back since then.
Wow, that's incredible, because I think a lot of people might have that realization, but then they don't actually follow their passion in the way that you did.
Yeah. I was lucky to. I mean, I've had a lot of back and forth. There's been moments in my life where I've tried to leave tennis, but I always find out that when I do, it's just something I'm so comfortable with and something that makes me feel like myself. So it's so hard to always leave it.
We have a shortage of tennis professionals across the country right now, and many people don't really realize that you can make a lifelong career in the sport. What would you say to any young people who are considering a career in the racket sports industry?
I think it's amazing. I think that I would always talk to them about how much it's given me. I've talked about how I've had this back and forth and I've fallen back into it, but the doors it's opened, the people I've connected with, the personal just good feeling I had, how much reward I feel from coaching all the time. People give so much back to you from coaching and teaching in this sport. So that feeling, I chase it all the time. So for me, I always try to touch on, I just don't think you'll regret trying it and seeing how it can give something back to you. And yeah, there's so many people that play it and then they get done with it in college, or it was a part of their life and then they don't find a way back to it. But it's a great way. It's a job that I always say, I don't know how you can really beat it.
How do you think that we can make being a tennis professional a more serious or elevated or prestigious career? Because I think that's a lot of questions that people have. Is
Right.
They think, okay, I'm going to be a tennis coach, but maybe won't be making a lot of money, or it won't really lead to other opportunities.
Yeah, I think definitely a way it could be more serious is trying to find to continue to have this continued education. I know I'll be the first to admit at times when I teach, you can get stuck in your way. You get comfortable, right? You have this teaching style or this way that feels good for you, and then you just continue to do it. And sometimes it can get old for yourself. You don't have that passion to continue to sharpen that tool. One of the best advice I got from my uncle at a really young age was take everything you can from all these different pros. When you go to a different facility, don't be too prideful to go ask for a lesson with the head pro. Have them teach you something. Try to get something from it. So a way I always think about taking more seriously is not to be too prideful and take as much as you can from all these other people, because they might be able to help you with something, and if you take that, you can then bring it into your own teaching style.
Yeah, I think that's so important to always continue learning in anything that you
Sharpen
do.
the tool.
Right? So you play many sports in addition to tennis, including pickleball.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about this pickleball boom. What do you think of it?
Man, it's crazy. When I was at my job in Hawaii at Kikui'ula, I think I was back in, I don't want to get the year wrong here, it was probably 2018, 2019 at the time. It was when pickleball was starting to rise, and we had this blank pavilion, and it was a kind of an open event space, and I talked the club into making it into a sports court. I was like, let's put down some painter's tape, put up a portable pickleball net, let's try to make this more of a racket sports program than just a tennis program. And it picked up a little bit. I left there, and when I came back after COVID, they now have a 3 to 4 court pickleball facility. It has blown up fully, and when I was there coaching, I was teaching half as much pickleball as I was tennis at that time. I would choose to teach tennis all day, but I was still doing 50-50 on teaching pickleball and teaching tennis. And I would say maybe 90% of my pickleball lessons were beginners. It was me on the court with 3 other players or 4 other players, and I was teaching them the nuances of the game and getting them comfortable with it. So the craze and how much people are playing it, you can't beat them, you gotta join it.
It is so incredibly popular. And you talked about kind of being well-rounded.
Yeah.
So how important do you think it is to be a well-rounded professional, having knowledge and certifications of other racket sports in addition to tennis?
Really, really big. I was actually going to get my certification through you guys for pickleball, and then someone called me to be on a reality TV show. So my schedule changed a little bit. But that was the goal. I was going to, at the beginning of this last year, was going to go and get the pickleball certification because I was doing it so much and I knew how to teach it. But it's one thing to know how to teach it. It's another thing to have that actual certification and to feel confident that you know how to teach it. And I always want to kind of, as I said, sharpen that tool and continue to learn.
Sure, yeah, just to have any additional skills and knowledge necessary.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we got to get into, of course, the main reason that we are chatting today and all of the exciting things happening for you right now. How did the opportunity initially come about to be on the Bachelorette for you for charity season? And then also, how did your club respond when it happened?
So it was very interesting. I ended up getting a DM on Instagram. It was out of the blue. Definitely didn't think it was real at first, but had to at least try to see what it was. I let my boss know probably about halfway through the application process, I want to put it on your radar so you're not surprised. This is something that came out of nowhere. I wasn't looking for it, but I think I would have to do it if it did come to fruition. And he was super supportive. They gave me an absence because they knew that I would be coming back. And when I did leave, I was able to get another pro in the area who was amazing to cover all the stuff that I was doing. And when I came back for about 2 months, 2.5, 3 months, and I worked with him. Because then when obviously this next role came, I knew I was going to have to leave that job, and I made sure he was set up to be able to kind of take that over when I left.
That's excellent. Just having that, knowing that everything's going to be okay.
That's all. I've left a lot of different positions because I've moved all over and I've took a lot of opportunities. But one of the things I always try to do is make sure that if I leave a place, I feel confident that whatever I put my time and energy into, at least gets to stay. I don't want to see it just fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, set them up for success.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
I also want to know, how has tennis been an outlet for you just throughout the craziness of the show in general?
I mean, I would love to say I've been playing a lot of tennis, and I have been trying to as much as I can. As soon as I get a little bit of a break, I go to the local club, I try to find a way to get on court. I can at least attest it for my time in between. From when I was in between the Bachelorette and the Bachelor, when I had more time, I was playing as much as I could. for me, it's always been a great and safe space for me to just let my mind wander, let myself have that almost meditative practice, and just focus on what I'm doing at that moment and kind of just not worry about everything else. Because as anyone knows who plays a sport, if you're thinking about too much on the tennis court, the ball's probably going all over the place.
In all the promotions for the show, there have been tennis puns galore. How many have you heard? Do you have a favorite one?
I mean, I'll name a couple if you want. I got courting season, game, set, match, looking for my doubles partner. There's a lot of them. And I love them all. I think that one of the coolest parts of this is they love the theme. They love the idea of having tennis be something that was a big part of my life. And it does speak true to who I am. I would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for tennis. I wouldn't have been living in Hawaii. I don't think the show would have probably reached out to me and DM'd me. So any way I can give back to that, I'm going to look for it.
Just got to lean into it.
Lean into the tennis puns.
Perfect. Okay, Joey, and how about after all of this craziness is done, do you intend to get back to coaching?
There's no way tennis will not be a part of my life. I just have known that for a while. I don't know if it's going to be working at a club. I don't know if it's going to be trying to help out at a local school. I don't even know if it might be something where I might look into tennis broadcasting. Like, I have so much interest in trying to find a way to give back to the sport and just have it be a part of my life. But I would be shocked if it's not going to be a part of my life over these next couple of years and through the rest of whatever I do. It's just every time I've left it, I've regretted it. So I know I'm going to still do that.
Yep. Yeah. You can always go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Okay. And then after the finale airs, what are you looking forward to the most?
After the finale airs, what am I looking forward to? Playing more tennis. I'll say it. I have not been able to play that much, and it's been killing me. So I'll say that. Let's keep it on the tennis team and say I can't wait to play some more tennis when I get some free time.
That sounds perfect, Joey. Well, this has been so much fun getting to know you better. Really appreciate it. I know all of our members are truly going to enjoy this, and we wish you nothing but happiness throughout this journey on the show and afterwards, too.
I appreciate your time. This has been fun today.
Thanks so much. Well.